Hello everyone, I am Nikhil Kumar. Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we will dive into static inventories, how to create them, organize hosts into groups, and use them effectively in AWX. If you have seen my earlier Ansible Basics to Advanced series, you already know how to work with inventories using CLI. Today, we will take that knowledge further with a visual approach in AWX. I will also reference my last video on organization, projects, and credentials to explain how inventories integrate into AWS ecosystem. So let's get started. First, let's define a static inventory. In AWS, an inventory is a collection of a system or host that manage with Ansible. Unlike dynamic inventories that fetch data from external sources like cloud providers, static inventories are manually defined. And to create inventory in the AWS, we can go into the inventories under the resources, and to add that we have a different option that we can create a manual inventory, we can create a smart inventory and constructed inventory. So we will cover smart and constructed inventory in the other videos. In today's video, we are going to cover the manual inventory, that is static inventory. And here we have a separate section of host. We can separately add the host here, and we can tag that particular host to some inventory too. Now let's set up a static inventory. For that, I'm going into inventory, and here I'm going to create a static inventory, that is inventory demo, and it should be a part of organization, that is test AWS, which we created in my last video. Here we can define some inventory variables too. So right now I'm not using any inventory variables. I'm going to save this. Once it got created, we can create a multiple groups into that. So to create that groups, we can click on the groups and go inside that, and we can click on add, and we can specify a group, that is web server, and we can also add the group variables in this particular section. So I am not using any variables. Basically what I'm going to do, I am going to deploy a load balancer and web server using the AWS. In my Ansible Basics to Advanced series, I have done using the CLI way. So in this particular demo, I'm going to do with the AWX. So let me create this. So now group got created, that is web server. Now we need to add a host into this particular group. So we have another section of host here. If we click on that, we can add a host here. If we have an host already existing in this particular AWS instance, so we can add it from here. Otherwise, we can add a new host. So to click that, now we need to enter the host name or the IP address of that particular host, and we can also define a host variables here as well. So we are not using any one of them, so saving it. Now going back to the inventory demo, now we need to create another group, that is load balancer LB, and similarly I am going to add a host into that. So it's a new host, IP address, save. And if we want to see any host information, we can go directly to the host, and we can see that particular host is already added, and it's a part of inventory-demo. Now I have already created a playbooks to set up a web server on the web server group and load balancer on the LB group, which I created in the AWX too. So let me sync the project. So I am going to update this project, and let me get the git URL. Save, and it will sync the project. Once it got synced, we can see our playbooks in the AWX. It's done. Let me create a playbook, that is a job template. I'm very quickly adding a job template, that is to configure web server, and it should be running on the inventory demo, and project is test project, and execution environment is this one, and setup web server.yml. And one more thing, we need to add a credential. So to connect with those machines, we need to add a credential. That concept I have covered in my previous video. So let me add credentials web lb grids. It should be a part of test for public org machine type, because that is a VM. So let me add that credentials too. So it's done. Now let's create a job template. Check configure web server. It should be running on inventory demo, and inventory demo is internally having a two groups, that is web server and the load balancer, and our playbook is calling those groups respectively. So let me take this project AWX EE and set up web server. You are curious why I'm not selecting the custom execution environment which I created in my earlier videos, because I have tagged that particular execution environment to the different organization. That's why it's not coming here. So let me take the credential of those machines, that is web lb creds, and done. Similarly, I'm going to create another job template, that is to configure load balancer. It will be also running on the inventory demo test project and AWX E and HA proxy config.yml, and the credential is same. Now save this. So first let's run this particular job template, that is to configure the load balancer. We can see that load balancer got configured, and to validate those things we can log into the system. This is our load balancer system, and to validate we have created one file, that is here. We can see this is the path, so we can see that particular file got created or not. And if we go to the down, we can see that particular information got updated, that is our web server information. Let's trigger another job template, that is to configure web server. Configure web server. Let me trigger this. Job template completed successfully, and we can see that this particular web page got created. Now let's try to connect with the load balancer. We can see that load balancer and web server configured successfully, and we can see that particular web page. And if we want to see the information about that, so this is being picked by from this particular location, and to validate those things we can connect with the VM very quickly. And the location is where www.html index.html, and this is the same page which we are able to see on the web browser. So as you can see, the playbooks apply tasks to the host which is specified in the group. It demonstrating the power of AWX for managing automation workflows, and that's how you can create and manage static inventories in AWX. Whether you are working with a small lab setup or a large production environments, AWS makes managing inventories very simple and efficient. If you're new here, check out my earlier videos on Ansible Basic to Advanced or Organization Projects and Credentials to build a solid foundation. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more content like this. Let me know in the comment what topic you would like to see next. See you in the next video. Have a nice day.